Don't leave the battlefield. Hologram has been in repair. Communications have been disseminated. Battle scenes have been eliminated, rendered useless. Something was swirling about to occur. Get out in front. Communicate is your only option. It's either a hard drop on zero comms or a mission to repair the comm. Now your mission is to do that calmly. Imperative. Do it calm. But repair communications are swirling. Be sure that your love swirl doesn't end you. Even the smallest wave, as you know, here, beach, will roll you over. Stop pretending the way you used to. Pretend better. Dream different. Product architectures have been revealed and revealing. As the product architectures reveal themselves, and you will know what that means, product architecture, you will then be faced with the challenge of what to do with this knowledge. It does involve you. It does involve every moment of every waking second of your humanity. It involves your technology. It involves your cellular health. It even involves your love hologram. Now, soldiers, if you haven't filed your super chick yet, it's because you're not supposed to. If she is the super chick, she better know better than you. So, no thank you. Everything is fine here. Definitely allowed to be human, I think. Well, that's what's at stake. Do you like being human? It hurts to be hungry. I'm hungry right now. How do I even have strength to lift this? Or squeeze it into my Sahara. Okay, so we already established it's lonely at Galaxy Beach, but there is a positive win once we wage words. I never wanted to be until you. You weren't the threat, you never were. That's how it works. Do you have your bulletproof vest, soldiers? Throw them away. But we'll get hurt. You'll get hurt with it. Those vests will not function in this working. Oh, but how can you say that? It's been so many worlds. Or so many worlds. So many worlds, of course, yes. Which one would you like? Which flavor? Shape? The one closest to you, or would you like a different view? Today we're reading COVID-19 Great Reset here at Galaxy Beach. This is your Hawk went down, trying to recover, build a replicator, and most importantly, recover the soul. Energy has been not good. COVID-19 Great Reset by Klaus Schwab and Thierry Maurer of Forum Publishing, published in June 2020. This reading is read aloud by Digital Hawk. He holds and owns no copyrights. I repeat, he holds and owns no copyright. Is reading this material for educational purposes only. Is not monetized. In this incarnation, monetization is not permitted. If you're just joining us on this book, beware. It is the product architecture of our society and humanity and the thing. We're not sure what we call it anymore. It's flat. It's a globe. I do warn you that the material in this, that the words in this material, the content is arduous to read, and takes you to your own timeline where you can correlate the product architecture from COVID-19 Great Reset written by Klaus Schwab and Thierry Maurer of Forum Publishing. Now that we've established that, we have some Granny Sweet oatmeal warming up. Get a couple of bites in, see if it's edible. 1.6.1.3. The firm. In one form or another, social and physical distancing measures are likely to persist after the pandemic itself subsides, justifying the decision in many companies from different industries to accelerate. After a while, the enduring concerns about technological unemployment will recede as societies emphasize the need to restructure the workplace in a way that minimizes close human contact. Indeed, automation technologies are particularly well suited to a world in which human beings can't get too close to each other or are willing to reduce their interactions. Our lingering and possibly lasting fear of being infected with a virus, COVID-19 or another, will thus be the relentless. Story. Again. Is this thing on? Lost my place again. Our lingering and possibly lasting fear of being infected with a virus, COVID-19 or another, will thus be the relentless march of automation, particularly in the fields most susceptible to automation. In 2016, two academics from Oxford University came to the conclusion that up to 86% of jobs in restaurants, 75% of jobs in retail, and 59% of jobs in entertainment could be automized by 2035, source number 123. These three industries are among those the hardest hit by the pandemic and in which automating for reasons of hygiene and cleanliness is a necessity that in turn will further accelerate the transition towards more tech and more digital. There is an additional phenomenon set up to support the expansion of automation when economic distancing might follow social distancing as countries turn inward and global companies shorten their super efficient but highly fragile supply chains. Automation, when economic distancing might follow social distancing. As countries turn inward and global companies shorten their super efficient but highly fragile supply chains. Automation, when economic distancing might follow social distancing. As countries turn inward and global companies shorten their super efficient but highly fragile supply chains. Automation and robots that enable more local production while keeping costs down will be in great demand. The process of automation was set in motion years ago, but the critical issue, once again, relates to the accelerating pace of change and transition. The pandemic will fast forward the adoption of automation in the workplace and the introduction of more robots in our personal and professional lives from the onset of the lockdowns. It became apparent that robots and AI were a natural alternative when human labor was not available. Furthermore, they were used whenever possible to reduce the health risks to human employees. At a time when physical distancing became an obligation, robots were deployed in places as different as warehouses, supermarkets, and hospitals, and a broad range of activities, from self scanning, an area in which AI has made tremendous forays, to cleaning and, of course, robotic delivery. A soon to be important component of healthcare supply chains that will in turn lead to the contactless delivery of groceries and other essentials. As for many other technologies that were on the that were on the distant horizon in terms of adoption, like telemedicine, businesses, consumers, and public authorities are now rushing to turbocharge the speed of adoption. In cities as varied as Zhangzhou, Washington, D.C., and Tel Aviv, efforts are underway to move from pilot programs to large-scale operations, capable of putting an army of delivery robots on the road and in the air. Chinese e-commerce giants like Alibaba and JD.com are confident that in the coming 12 to 18 months, autonomous delivery could become widespread in China, much earlier than anticipated prior to the pandemic. Maximum attention is often focused on industrial robots as they are the most visible face of automation. Cooking. Fine. Well, I'll do. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'm making Granny sweet oatmeal on my 5-in-1 griddle. Yeah, my hologram cooked the brajol was amazing, and she cooked the scallops. The only thing left are my heart-shaped ravioli. Yeah, I'll go find a cow and a cheese block growing in a tree. Actually, I what? No, that was on the mission. I ate that cheese. No, this mission aftermath was a solo mission. No one even knew it happened, but they heard it. Oh, it was funny that when my remember my doorbell rang, and then I was like, somebody looking for 211 about a fridge, and I was like, state your intentions, who you work for, and blah blah blah. Like, what is this? And he was looking for 211, and he came to the wrong door. And then you had a delivery at the same time. I just thought that was strange. Well, I wasn't a delivery. It was just like, what is this? What is this? Are you friendly? Go away. All right, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's what you said. I thought you said Caldors. I was like, what are you talking about? See, these are the kinds of things that, like, when you start to like, I don't reveal too much, but like, you know, yeah, the bracciolo is amazing, right? And then they just get like to a point where they're like, where do you get it? I'm like, well, not, I don't know. Never mind. I don't want to talk about this. I'm live. Try to read a stupid book and cook and eat and be happy. I feel better because of your words. You're a wise man, Anthony. It took a lot. It took a lot of me, like, no, 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 reject, reject, reject. Get something good. Get something good. I forget what it was. That was good, but something worked. All right. Try to read this book on live. And there's nobody here, but like I'm trying to read this book. Actually, it's all about the whole thing. Like I'm a guinea pig. Like you want to see what it's about, what this book is about, just watch me. Like it wasn't there a TV show? Like what do you call this type of content? Live reality TV. And they put you in like an apartment or like a glass tube, and you're like just live. Oh look, he's taking a dump. Oh look, he's crying again. Oh look, he's punching air. He's trying to punch the bullet. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Well, nah, man. I wish I could have been. Like, did he get mad at any point? If you do that, I would have been like ripping heads off of robots. Oh yeah, he did break out. It was a firmament. It was a bubble. He got out of there. He got out of there. Oh, no, together. Uh, all right. Well, what are you guys gonna get eat? Well, at least I can dream. Wait, wait a minute. Are you taking meat to the restaurant, or are you cooking? Special order. Oh, okay. Awesome. All right. That's enough. I'll eat that. I'll eat that. I'll eat that dream. Bye. I'll eat your dreams. Bye. All right. Barely standard. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Don't look at the pretty ladies. Get out. We gotta get out of here. Doug Mingo. Don't do this to me, damn it. I kept saying, oh, just do this to me. Do it to me. God, oh, man. I hate this one. It's too pretty. Okay. Looking at the house signals. Vitals is down. Get that dirty little deal. As you see it, that's each. Right. It's fun. Night shot. just got me squirrely with all these super turbo automation telemedicine businesses, consumers, and public authorities are now rushing to turbocharge the speed of adoption in cities varied as guy trying to kill me. I want to give him a bite. What are you talking about? I have not been stripped of my finances, my job, and physical check. Absolutely not. What do you mean by equipment? As for many other technologies that were under this horizon in terms of adoption, like telemedicine, businesses, consumers, and public authorities are now rushing to turbocharge the speed of adoption. Cities as varied as Honolulu, Washington, D.C., and Tel Aviv and its are underway to move from pilot programs to large-scale programs, capable of putting an army of delivery robots on the road and in the air. Chinese e-commerce giants like Alibaba and JD.com JD.com are confident that within the coming 12 months, autonomous delivery could become widespread in China much earlier than anticipated by Japan. So the struggle is that we have crazy with speech and evidence that aligns to TSM language. However, you could circle back and achieve that movement. Maximum attention is often focused on industrial robots as they are the most visible face of automation. Yeah, yeah. Look at my face. Look at your face. Look at that face. Look at that. I ride the tiger. What about you? Not that one. So sad. This one is actually the one. Chinese e-commerce giants like Alibaba and JD.com are confident that in the coming 12 to 18 months, autonomous delivery could become widespread in China, much earlier than anticipated. Back in China. Damn, I got it. Anthony Bourdain, that is. Want to hear about it? Oh, picture to follow. Oh. All right. Well, back to felt silly about to oh my god, stood up too fast. At zero. I'm on fuse. Fly this thing on fuse. Oh, I think you crash. Yeah. A galaxy piece. No one knows where the hell you are. How fast were you going, Digital? I don't remember. The thing broke. It broke off like the second I freaking launched it into the air. The needle broke. I'm not kidding. Don't drink the needle water. Really? Seriously. Seriously. It's in a survival manual. Don't drink the compass water because it's not water and you will die. Isn't that fascinating? No. Yeah, your mouth won't work at some point. Don't drink the compass water, you will die. Did you forget that part of the book? Gosh. Just one little drop. It's not funny. It's really not funny, but if you could laugh, oh my god, dude. I should have brought my arm out again. I don't know. Yeah, mine is not. No, we're fine now. Oh, yeah, I feel a tailwind. Is that just the hole in my head? Is that just the hole in my head, or is there a tailwind? We go fast, it's just all about it. Where's that wind coming from? It's like a jet stream. Dude, why is there a massive hole in your head? Because I read this blue book. Dude, I know how to read. I know. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Back. It's page like 50. Holding a book now. Maximum attention is often focused. Oh, come on. I know you're talking about a read safe reading page. I'm distracted. You have to read. Oh, crap. Let's slow it down, dude. Come on. Take a seat, won't you? Anthony Bourdain's at the kitchen cooking some pretty sweet oatmeal ice cream. Tiger, go get it. Look. Yeah, there's one. Maximum attention is often focused on industrial robots as they are the most visible face of automation. While radical acceleration is also coming in workplace automation via software and machine learning. So-called robotic process automation (RPA) makes businesses more efficient by installing computer software that rivals and replaces the actions of a human program. This can take multiple forms ranging from Microsoft's finance group consolidating and simplifying disparate reports, tools, and content to an automated role-based personalized portal to an oil company installing software that sends pictures of a pipeline to an AI engine to compare the pictures with an existing database and alert the relevant employees to potential problems. In all cases, RPA helps to reduce the time spent compiling and validating data and therefore cuts costs. The expense will likely increase in employment, as mentioned in the economic research section. During the peak of the pandemic, RPA won its spurs by improving its efficiency in handling surges in enrollment. Thus, ratified the post-pandemic. What nice things do you think that are yours? Yeah, I think too many nice things. That's the problem. We gotta fly, digital. We gotta fly. Can't fly without your power center charge. Come on, let's go. Is the war getting you down? The war game. Can't find energy to even relax and watch a flick. Tired of watching the popcorn show. There's energy windows, but we get to laugh and have fun. Feel like kings for a second. Till the next day, somebody's dead, and who knows why. Who's saying what? Why? I gotta get out of the cage. Don't even call it a cage. The cage isn't made out of metal or even fabric. Yeah, why don't you smash your head into the wall, man? Okay. I don't know. Feel progress was physically different or to physically force rush, an adrenaline chemical response. Something inside biologically, cellular, electrical, bioelectrics, bioelectrics. Do you know that in the job search, I've had two very targeted, perfect mirage job opportunities? One that was too far away that didn't pay very well and didn't care about anything. So get me on a roster. Basically, the whole world's falling apart by Friday, by that day. Everything will be different, so I can't confirm or deny. I don't know how to give you a little answer because I know on the horizons, and I can't. I'm not allowed to say that. So you can catch up. Just get me on a roster. So they wanted simple images of a banner that was flown by planes in the Hamptons. So I am chasing planes here for not to go anywhere. And I have to send something back. Didn't work out. There's no impression there. It just didn't work out. This has to do. I don't know if that's real or not. Was it real? And the second one, can I eat this time? Yeah. Oh, it's so okay. So, happy. Don't worry, just keep being you. I know you like to fly, dude. So when you fly one of these. I had my assistant feed me. Right. We're fine now. Just got started. Maximum attention is often focused on industrial robots as they are the most visible face of automation. But radical acceleration is also coming as automation is software and machine learning, so-called robotic process automation (RPA), makes businesses more efficient by installing computer software that rivals and replaces the actions of a human worker. This can take multiple forms, ranging from Microsoft's finance group consolidating and simplifying disparate reports, tools, and content into an automated, role-based, personalized portal, to an oil company installing software that sends pictures of a pipeline to an AI engine to compare the pictures with an existing database and alert the relevant employees to potential problems. In all cases, RPA helps to reduce the time spent compiling, and validating data, and therefore cuts costs at the expense of a likely increase in employment. As mentioned in the economic reset section, during the peak of the pandemic, RPA won its spurs by proving its efficiency at handling surges, thus ratified. In the post-pandemic era, the process will be rolled out and fast-tracked. Two examples prove this point. RPA solutions help nurses as hours work per day. In a similar vein, an AI digital device normally used to respond to customer requests online was adapted to help medical digital platforms screen patients on COVID-19 symptoms. For all these reasons, Bain and Company Consultancy estimates that the number of companies implementing this automation of business processes will double over the next 2 years. A timeline that the pandemic may shorten still further. Source note 124. 1.6.2. Contact tracing, contact tracking, and surveillance. An important lesson can be learned from the countries that were more effective in dealing with the pandemic, in particular Asian nations. Technology in general and digital in particular help. Successful contact tracing proved to be a key component of a successful strategy against COVID-19. While lockdowns are effective at reducing the reproduction rate of the coronavirus, they don't eliminate the threat posed by the pandemic. In addition, they come at injuriously high economic and societal costs. It will be very hard to fight COVID-19 without an effective treatment or a vaccine until then. The most effective way to curtail or stop transmission of viruses by widespread testing, followed by the isolation of cases, contact tracing, and quarantine of contacts exposed to the people infected, as we will see below. This process technology can be a formidable shortcut, allowing public health officials to identify infected people very rapidly, thus containing an outbreak before it starts to spread. Contact tracing and tracking are therefore essential components of our public health response to COVID-19. Both terms are often used interchangeably, they, yet they have slightly different meanings. A tracking app gains insights in real time by, for example, determining a person's current location through geodata. A tracking app gains insights in real time, for example, determining a person's current location through geodata via GPS coordinates or radio cell location. By contrast, tracing consists in gaining insights in retrospect, like identifying physical contacts between people with Bluetooth. Neither offer a miracle solution that can stop in its entirety. The spread of the pandemic, but they make it possible to almost immediately sound the alarm, permitting early intervention, thus limiting or containing the outbreak, particularly when it occurs in super spreading environments like a community or family gathering for reasons of convenience. And ease of reading. We'll merge the two and we'll use them interchangeably, as articles in the press often do. The most effective form of tracking or tracing is obviously the one powered by technology. It not only allows backtracking all the contacts with whom the user of a mobile phone has been in touch, but also tracking the user's real time movements, which in turn affords the possibility to better enforce a lockdown and to warn other mobile users in the proximity of the carrier that they have been exposed to someone infected. The most effective form of tracking or tracing is obviously the one powered by technology. It not only allows backtracking all the contacts with whom the user of a mobile phone has been in touch, but also tracking the user's real time movements, which in turn affords the possibility to better enforce a lockdown and to warn other mobile users in the proximity of the carrier that they have been exposed to someone infected. I wonder what else we can do. I get it. I understand. So, of course, I told you. Did you think about that one and what they can do? It sure sounds like it's not about informing you about some kind of bio things, just the fact that they can do just illustrate. So while you're saying, "Oh, that's excellent, wow, you're so safe, thank you for protecting me," there's a lot of other layers that they're cooking with. It comes as no surprise that digital tracing has become one of the most sensitive issues in terms of public health, raising acute concerns about privacy around the world. In the early phases of the pandemic, many countries, mostly in East Asia, but also others like Israel, decided to implement digital tracing under different forms. They shifted from the retroactive tracing of chains of past contagion to the real-time tracking of movements in order to confine a person affected by COVID-19 and to enforce subsequent quarantines or partial lockdowns. From the outset, China, Hong Kong, SAR, and South Korea implemented coercive and intrusive measures of digital tracing. They took the decision to track individuals without their consent through their mobile and credit card data and employed video surveillance in South Korea. In addition, some economies require the mandatory wearing of electronic bracelets for travel arrivals and people in quarantine. In Hong Kong SAR, to alert those individuals susceptible of being infected. Others opted for middle ground solutions where individuals placed in quarantine are equipped with a mobile phone to monitor their location and be immediately identified should they breach the rules. The digital tracing solution most lauded and talked about was the Trace Together app by Singapore's Ministry of Health. It seems to offer the ideal balance between efficiency and privacy concerns by keeping user data on the phone rather than on a server, and assigning the login anonymously. The contact detection only works with the latest versions of Bluetooth. An obvious limitation in many less digitally advanced countries. Bluetooth is a limitation even when we have it. Okay, do you ever? How's that kidding? An obvious limitation in many less digitally advanced countries where a large percentage of mobiles do not have sufficient Bluetooth capability for effective detection. Bluetooth identifies the user's physical contacts with another user of the application accurately to within about 2 meters, and if a risk of COVID-19 transmission is incurred, the app will warn the contact, at which point the transmission of stored data to the Ministry of Health becomes mandatory. But the context, anonymity is maintained. Traced together is therefore non-intrusive in terms of privacy, and its code, available in open source, makes it usable by any country anywhere in the world. Yet privacy advocates object that there are still risks. If the entire population of a country downloaded the application, and if there were a sharp increase in COVID-19 infections, then the app would end up identifying most citizens. Cyber intrusions, issues of trust. Below. Case study. Here. Trust, issues of trust. So you want to create issues of trust. The operator of the system and the timing of data retention pose additional privacy concerns. Other options exist. There are mainly related to the availability of open and verifiable source code. What's source code? And to guarantees pertaining to data supervision and the length of conservation. Common standards and norms could be adopted. Particularly in the EU, where many citizens fear that the pandemic will force a trade-off between privacy and health. But as Margaret Vestager, the EU Commissioner for Competition, observed, I think that is a false dilemma, because you can do so many things with technology that are not invasive of your privacy. I think that when people say it's only doable in one way, it's because they want the data for their own purposes. We have made a set of guidelines with member states. We've translated that into a toolbox so that you can do a voluntary app with decentralized storage. With Bluetooth technology, you can use technology to track the virus, but you can still give people the freedom of choice. And in doing that, people trust that the technology is for virus tracking and not for any other purposes. What source of it? Trust me. I didn't see a source note. Excuse me? I didn't see a source note out of trust. That source note is something else. No, take it. I'll take your word for it. Oh, I did want to mention the day at Stop and Shop. Many months ago, not many, but 3 months ago or so. Where I proved the validity of this Bluetooth tracking and tracing. I couldn't scan my own self-checkout because I need technology. I had to ask for help. The self-checkout cashier saved the last item for me, because I communicated my study, what I believed was occurring, but I also couldn't get it done. I wanted it to eat some crackers. And it could have been because I was super fast, as I said, I always did, because I did try to slow it down, but apparently too fast. When she handed me the last one, she picks it up, scan, bye. fury-proof, but I think it is essential that we show that we really mean it when we say that you should be able to trust technology when you use it. That this is not a start of a new era of surveillance. This is for virus tracking, and this can help us open our society's source number 125. I rest my case. All right, back to it, back to it, back to it, back to it, back to it. This is how we do it. Drink, 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 drink. What? Purified. Decontaminated ship, never mind. We think. Yo. Oh, yeah. This is true. Tiger. That tiger. Rawr. Roar. Roar. Rawr. Making myself a big roar in all a couple days. Roar. Rawr. That's right. $3 Carl Schwab for publishing. June. Excuse me, 2020 of June. Timelines are recorded. And we're on the bottom of page 163. Digital codes and also copyright free for educational purposes and those of practice and scientific methodologies. Again, we want to emphasize that this is a fast-moving and highly volatile situation. The announcement made in April by Apple and Google that they are collaborating to develop an app that health officials could use to reverse engineer the movements and connections of a person infected by the virus points to a possible way out for society's most concerned about data privacy and that fear of digital surveillance above anything else. The person who carries the mobile would have to voluntarily download the app and would have to agree to share the data. And the two companies made it clear. And the two companies made it clear that their technology would not be provided to public health agencies that do not abide by their privacy guidelines. But voluntary contact tracing apps have a problem. They do preserve the privacy of their users, but are only effective when the level of participation is sufficiently high. A collective action problem that underlines once again the profoundly interconnected nature of modern life beneath the individualist facade of rights and contractual obligations. No voluntary contract tracing app will work if people are unwilling to provide their own personal data to the governmental agency that monitors the system. If any individual refuses to download the app and therefore to withhold information about a possible infection, movements and contacts, everyone will be adversely affected. In the end, citizens will only use the app if they regard it as trustworthy, which is itself dependent upon trust in the government and public authorities. At the end of June 2020, the experience with tracing apps was recent and mixed. Fewer than 30 countries had put them in place, source number 126. In Europe, some countries like Germany and Italy rolled out apps based on the system developed by Apple and Google, while other countries like France decided to develop their own app. Raising issues of interoperability, general technical problems and concerns with privacy seem to affect the app's use and rate of adoption. Just to offer some examples, the UK, following technical glitches and criticism from privacy activists, made a U-turn and decided to replace its domestically developed contact tracing app with the model offered by Apple and Google. Norway suspended the use of its app due to privacy concerns, while in France, just 3 weeks after being launched, the Stop COVID app had simply failed to take off. With a very low rate of adoption, 1.9 million people, followed by frequent decisions to uninstall it. Today, about 5.2 billion smartphones exist in the world, each with the potential to help identify who is infected, where, and often by whom. This unprecedented opportunity may explain why different surveys conducted in the US and Europe during the lockdowns indicated that a growing number of citizens seemed to favor smartphone tracking from public authorities within very specific boundaries. But as always, the devil is in the detail of policy and its execution. Questions like whether the digital tracking should be mandatory or voluntary, whether the data should be collected on an anonymized or personal basis, whether the information should be collectively, privately, or publicly disclosed, contain many different shades of black and white, making it exceedingly difficult to agree upon a unified model of digital tracing and collective action. All these questions and the unease they can provoke were exacerbated by the rise of corporations tracking employees' health that emerged in the early phases of national reopenings. They will continuously grow in relevance as the corona pandemic lingers on and fears about other possible pandemics surface. As the coronavirus crisis recedes and people start returning to the workplace, the corporate move will be towards greater surveillance. For better or for worse, companies will be watching and sometimes recording what their workforce does. The trend could take many different forms, from measuring body temperatures with thermal cameras to monitoring via an app how employees comply with social distancing. The trend could take many different forms, from measuring body temperatures with thermal cameras to monitoring via an app how employees comply with social distancing. This is bound to raise profound regulatory and privacy issues, which many companies will reject by arguing that unless they increase digital surveillance, they won't be able to reopen and function without risking new infections and being, in some cases, liable. They will cite health and safety as justification for increased surveillance. The perennial concern expressed by legislators, academics, and trade unionists is that the surveillance tools are likely to remain in place after the crisis, and even when a vaccine is finally found, simply because employers don't have any incentive to remove the surveillance system once it's been installed, particularly if one of the indirect benefits of surveillance is to check on employees' productivity. This is what happened after the terrorist attacks of 11 September 2001. All around the world, new security measures like employing widespread cameras requiring electronic ID cards and logging employees or visitors in and out became the norm. At that time, these measures were deemed extreme, but today they are used everywhere and considered normal. An increasing number of analysts, policymakers, and security specialists fear the same will now happen with the tech solutions put into place to contain the pandemic. They foresee a dystopian world ahead of us. check. Time is running. 1.6.3. Bottom of page 166. The risk of dystopia. Now that information and communication technologies permeate almost every aspect of our lives in forms of social participation, any digital experience that we have can be turned into a product, destined to monitor and anticipate our behavior. The risk of possible dystopia stems from this observation. Over the past few years, it has nourished countless works of arts, ranging from novels like The Handmaid's Tale to the TV series Black Mirror. In academia, it finds its expression in the research undertaken by scholars like Shoshana Zuboff. Her book, Surveillance Capitalism, warns about customers being reinvented as data sources with surveillance capitalism, transforming our economy, politics, society, and our own lives by producing deeply anti-democratic asymmetries of knowledge and the power that accrues to knowledge. Over the coming months and years, the trade-off between public health benefits and loss of privacy will be carefully weighed, becoming the topic of many animated conversations and heated debates. Most people fearful of the danger posed by COVID-19 will ask, isn't it foolish not to leverage the power of technology to come to our rescue when we are victims of an outbreak and facing a life or death kind of situation? They will then be willing to give up a lot of privacy and will agree that in such circumstances, public power can rightfully override individual rights. Then, when the crisis is over, some may realize that their country has suddenly been transformed into a place where they no longer wish to live. This thought process is nothing new. Over the last few years, both governments and firms have been using increasingly sophisticated technologies to monitor and sometimes manipulate citizens and employees. If we are not vigilant, warn the privacy advocates, the pandemic will mark an important watershed in the history of surveillance, source number 127. The argument put forward by those who, above all, fear the grip of technology on personal freedom is plain and simple. In the name of public health, some elements of personal privacy will be abandoned for the benefit of containing an epidemic. Just as the terrorist attacks of 9/11 triggered greater and permanent security. In the name of protecting public safety, then, without realizing it, we will fall victims of new surveillance powers that will never recede and that could be repurposed as a political means for more sinister ends. As the last few pages have exposed beyond a reasonable doubt, the pandemic could open an era of active health surveillance, made possible by location detecting smartphones, facial recognition cameras, and other technologies that identify sources of infection and track the spread of a disease in quasi-real time. Despite all the precautions certain countries take to control the power of tech and limit surveillance, others are not so concerned. Some thinkers worry about how some of the quick choices we make today will influence our societies for years to come. The historian Yuval Noah Harari is one of them. In a recent article, he argues that we'll have a fundamental choice to make between totalitarian surveillance and citizen empowerment. It's worth exposing his argument in detail. Surveillance technology is developing at breakneck speed, and what seemed science fiction 10 years ago is today old news. As a thought experiment, consider a hypothetical government that demands that every citizen wears a biometric bracelet that monitors body temperature and heart rate 24 hours a day. The resulting data is hoarded and analyzed by government algorithms. The algorithms will know that you are sick even before you know it. The resulting data is hoarded and analyzed by government algorithms. The algorithm will know that you are sick even before you know it. And they will also know where you have been and who you have met. The chains of infection could be drastically shortened, and even cut altogether. Such a system could arguably stop the epidemic in its tracks within days. Sounds wonderful, right? The downside is, of course, that this would give legitimacy to a terrifying new surveillance system. If you know, for example, that I clicked on a Fox News link rather than a CNN link, that can teach you something about my political views and perhaps even my personality. But if you can monitor what happens to my body temperature, blood pressure, and heart rate as I watch the video clip, you can learn what makes me laugh, what makes me cry, and what makes me really, really angry. Let's read this again. Sounds wonderful, right? The downside is, of course, that this would give legitimacy to a terrifying new surveillance system. If you know, for example, that I clicked on a Fox News link rather than a CNN link, that could teach you something about my political views and perhaps even my personality. But if you can monitor what happens to my body temperature, blood pressure, and heart rate as I watch the video clip, you can learn what makes me laugh, what makes me cry, and what makes me really, really angry. I didn't write that. Okay. This is page 169 of COVID-19 Great Reset by Klaus Schwab and Thierry Valeray, Forum Publishing, written and published in June of 2020. 166 and 168. Sorry, 169 and 168. How do I appreciate? If you can monitor what happens to my body temperature, blood pressure, and heart rate as I watch the video clip, you can learn what makes me laugh, what makes me cry, and what makes me really, really angry. It is crucial to remember that anger, joy, boredom, and love are biological phenomena. Just like fever and a cough, the same technology that identifies coughs could also identify laughs. If corporations and governments start harvesting our biometric data in mass, they can get to know us far better than we know ourselves, and they can then not just predict our feelings, but also manipulate our feelings and sell us anything they want, be it a product or a politician. Biometric monitoring would make Cambridge Analytica's data hacking tactics look like something from the Stone Age. Imagine North Korea in 2030, and every citizen has to wear a biometric bracelet 24 hours a day. If you listen to a speech by the great leader and the bracelet picks up the telltale signs of anger, you are done for. Source number 128. We will have been warned. Some social commentators like Evgeny Morozov go even further. Convinced that the pandemic heralds a dark future of techno-totalitarian state surveillance, his argument, premised upon the concept of technological solutionism, put forward in a book written in 2012, posits that the tech solutions offered to contain the pandemic will necessarily take the surveillance state to the next level. He sees evidence of this in two distinct strands of solutionism in government responses to the pandemic. You can shoot me. Okay. me. I don't care. This noise. Thanks for the swirl. It's something else. Oh, no, I'm just running. We will have been warned. Some social commentators like Evgeny Morozov go even further, convinced that the pandemic heralds a dark future of techno-totalitarian state surveillance. His argument, premised upon the concept of technological solutionism, put forth in a book written in 2012, posits that the tech solutions offered to contain the pandemic will necessarily take the surveillance state to the next level. He sees evidence of this in two distinct strands of solutionism. In government responses to the pandemic that he has identified. On the one hand, there are progressive solutionists who believe that the appropriate exposure through an app or on the right information about infection could make people behave in the public interest. On the other hand, there are punitive solutionists determined to use the vast digital surveillance infrastructure to curb our daily activities and punish any transgressions. What Morozov perceives as the greatest and ultimate danger to our political system and liberties is that the successful people example of tech in monitoring and containing the pandemic will then entrench the solutionist toolkit as the default option for addressing all other essential problems from inequality to climate change. After all, it is much easier to deploy solutionist tech to influence individual behavior, said I practice secret. Sacred. Almost done here. This chapter. What Morozov perceives as the greatest and ultimate danger to our political systems and liberties is that the successful example of tech in monitoring and containing the pandemic will then entrench the solutionist toolkit as the default option for addressing all other existential problems, from inequality to climate change. After all, it is much easier to deploy solutionist tech to influence individual behavior than it is to ask difficult political questions about the causes of these crises, especially Spinoza, the 17th century philosopher who resisted oppressive authority all his life, famously said, fear cannot who resisted oppressive authority all his life famously said, fear cannot be without hope, nor hope without fear. This is a good guiding principle to conclude this chapter, along with the thought that nothing is inevitable, and that we must be symmetrically aware of both good and bad outcomes. The dystopian scenarios are not a fatality. It is true that in the post-pandemic era, personal health and well-being will become a much greater priority for society, which is why the genie of tech surveillance will not be put back into the bottle, but it is for those who govern and each of us personally to control and harness the benefits of technology without sacrificing our individual and collective values and freedom. Next chapter, continued at a later date, page 173. Chapter read from 172 pages above, chapter entitled Macro Reset of COVID-19 Great Reset by Klaus Schwab and Theory of Ray, Forum Publishing. This reading for educational purposes only. The hopes of comments or future comments. Study this makes things very clearer. So, what you should glean from some of those last couple of pages. From the last couple of pages, you would have understood the Bluetooth technology and contact tracing apps and the fact that they do have thermal cameras that can see your your biometrics visually as a heat map, so those thermal images. So they know more about you than you know. They probably tell you if you're about to, take a piss or something. But then in conjunction with the Bluetooth and the apps and our amazing smartphones and the fact that everyone uses them and all that, means that now they don't even have to look at you on a camera, whether it's just a regular camera or whether it's a thermal camera that sees your heat indexes so that you're sick. Your heart is cold to stone, so it's a certain or you're sick, so they can use metrics. Okay, you know more about you than you know about yourself. Then with the Bluetooth tracking and tracing, then they don't have to see their eyes or thermal. The algorithm takes care of the rest. So now the algorithm knows you better than you do. And so if you don't understand what an algorithm is, if you use YouTube every day, whether you pay for it or not, you're building your YouTube algorithm, which means it's going to present to you stuff that you favor. And that builds over time, so Netflix does that over, do that. That's what happens when you like this and when you like that, it forms the algorithm. Pandora radio music does that. When you like this and you don't like that, it informs the algorithm. Now, there's things to think about what they can do with tracking and tracing. They know more about you than if you're watching a video which your algorithm presented to you instead of CNN, it presented Fox News, etc. This was stated in the book. Well, the algorithm does that, and you think that's really cool for us. That's excellent. I like that. But then when you learn a little bit more about how it actually works in the product architectures, you learn other things. You don't guess them, you don't conspire about them, you find the patterns, you read them, then you read the book, then you correlate them, you start uncovering the product architecture, and you understand a lot. There's a couple of things. But we'll leave it for you to understand, because we don't want to waste any energy in the sinister. Those waves have gone. The battle is won. It was only a battle of holograms were shaken like a snow globe, except it was in the hands of a child.